वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपद प्रभुपाद श्रील प्रभुपद प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा Hare Krishna. Thank you. So for the past 2 days we were hearing about the episode of the crow who had come and hurt Mother Sita, and Lord Ramachandra had punished him by sending a Brahmastra after him. Finally, at the end of the entire episode, he gets the shelter of Lord Ram. So many Vaishnava Acharyas, they have described this as the Vrittanta, or the description of the demoniac mentality of the crow. It is called as Kakasura Vrittanta. Kaka means the crow. So we have studied this, or we have understood this particular pastime through the writings of Srimad Valmiki Muni, Maharshi Valmiki, and also we have taken references about the pastimes of Lord Ram from other Puranas. According to Srila Madhvacharya, along with the 4 Vedas, the Puranas and Itihasas are considered to be the 5th Veda. So there are Praman, or there is references that are there about Lord Ramachandra in the Puranas too. Like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavat Mahapuran, we have references about Lord Ram's pastimes. Similarly, there are references in the other Puranas too. Yesterday we discussed about how is it that Lord Ramachandra became so angry with the crow. And we also see from the Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective that in Lord Chaitanya's pastime, he was also very agitated when he saw Lord Nityananda hurt. So Krishna becomes very concerned when we consciously try to hurt his devotee with malice in heart or with ulterior motives. Then we also saw that the nature of Sharanagati is that one is completely dependent. One is convinced that the Supreme Lord will maintain one, will take care of one. One is convinced of this fact. In fact, Srila Prabhupada writes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, his purport, that the devotee is convinced that Krishna is his well-wisher. Srila Prabhupada says a devotee therefore is always happy in all situations, confident that Krishna is his well-wisher. Other places, the example of the cat is given, that for its own kitten, the cat's mouth and its teeth are the safest place. But for the rat, that is the most dangerous place to be in. So kitten knows its mother to be its well-wisher. And therefore, even though the mother picks up the kitten with her teeth, which are sharp, when the cat is trying to pick up the kitten, the teeth do not morph. They do not become soft like butter. They are still sharp, hard, powerful. However, the kitten is convinced that my mother is my well-wisher. And although in the grip of the teeth, which are razor sharp, the kitten is completely happy. On the other hand, a rat which is caught within the teeth of a cat does not experience the same kind of happiness. So this aspect of a devotee is called as Paratantra or Paratantrium. There are two words, Swatantra and Paratantra. Swatantra means independent. Paratantra means dependent. In the 1960s, Srila Prabhupada wrote an article. The occasion was the 4th of July, and everyone was celebrating independence, the day of independence. And Srila Prabhupada, he wrote that a devotee expresses one's independence by, or a devotee feels independent by expressing one's dependence on Krishna. Seems like an oxymoron here, a paradox, opposite. But actually that is the truth. Like in this nation, the more we surrender to the Constitution, the more freedom we have. The more we become dependent on our constitutional rights, the more favors, more facilities are available to us. So dependence is not always harmful. Whom we are dependent upon affects the result of such dependence. If we are dependent on the most powerful personality, then we have access to all power too. So when Sita Devi, she expressed this dependence on Lord Ram, despite she herself being very powerful. For example, one narrator of the Valmiki Ramayana, in a light mood, he expressed that Sita Devi had the choice of whom she would want to marry. For her it was Swayamvar. The person who conquered the bow of Lord Shiva would be her chosen husband. Lord Ramchandra had not come with that agenda. He was just following the orders of Vishwamitra Muni. And as far as he knew, he was just trying to string the bow because Janak Maharaj was feeling dejected. Vishwamitra Muni said, yes, here is Ram of the Raghu dynasty and he can string the bow. So Lord Ram applied his strength and the bow cracked into 3 pieces. Well, he did achieve the task and much beyond it. Lord Ram did not have the choice of Swayam Vadhu. Did he? Did Lord Ramchandra have this facility that a host of ladies would come and prove themselves? And then he would choose the one that would be the most qualified. And they were making this point that just see how powerful Sita is, Sita Devi is. And Lord Ram has to surrender and accept Sita Devi. He obviously expressed that he would only go through the process of marriage by the blessings, after he receives the blessings of his father. He did that, but didn't really have the same choices as what Mother Sita had. However, her paratantriyam, her dependence on Lord Ram, made her feel so confident that she would protect her, that she was not concerned about her own welfare, knowing well that Krishna, Lord Ram, was her well-wisher. And Lord Ramchandra did not let her down. He sent the Brahmastra after the crow. This is what I do for my devotee. And this is what my devotee does for me. Hari Bol. That should have been the end of the Ramayana in one sense. But other questions have been raised. The next question that has been raised is, how is it that the crow still gets punished? Is Sharanagati not enough? I mean, one of the most quoted and in certain sections considered to be the topmost verse, the Charama Shloka, is, surrender unto me and I shall free you from all fear. Don't be doubtful about this. So is Sharanagati not enough? People ask questions like that, Sometimes we should spend more time practicing that which would give us realization rather than ask questions from an unrealized platform. But we feel that we can ask this question, so all right, the question will be addressed. The crow had sought shelter of Lord Ram. Who is the crow? Not an ordinary crow. An ordinary crow would not have the courage to do what this crow did. Unless and until crows are in a pack, they do not attack repetitively. They know alone, united they stand, divided they fall. The crows know that. And those who have had experience with crows, we know that. If there's a single crow, you just go shoo, and the crow flies away. But if that crow comes back with a pack of friends, then you have to fly away. So this crow is Jayanta. And on the insistence of the demigods, Jayanta had taken up this role and he got a little over-involved. Sometimes when you participate in a play or a drama, sometimes you get over-involved and you overact. Many years ago, we had a drama performance. And it was about Krishna's appearance and the death of Kansa at the hands of Krishna. And when Kansa was dead, they decided to end the play with the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So Kansa is dead on the stage there. Krishna is victoriously standing and looking at the crowds in the Rangashala, in that wrestling arena, that here is Kansa is dead. So he's looking around at the crowd, which is basically us, because we are the audience. And the Hare Krishna Mahamantra starts playing. A very melodious tune. And when devotees are moved and that is supplemented with kirtan, then devotees naturally clap their hands like that. So there is the Hare Krishna mantra going on and the devotees are clapping and the entire hall is filled with this rapturous clapping. And then everyone, it begins from the first row and then people in the back row, they kind of are wondering why, and then they also notice it. Everyone starts laughing. Do you know why? Because the dead Kansa was also playing along with the beats. The dead Kansa was also trying to beat his hands on the stage along with the beats. That was so comical. I mean, Kansa, you could have done that before you were dead. I mean, you're supposed to be dead and you are like keeping beat with the music. And the curtains were still open. Everyone could see that. It began with the first few rows and then the back rows, they kind of caught up on that. And everyone forgot the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They forgot all the emotions. They were like, hey, watch. And Kansa was so oblivious because Kansa was playing dead, right? So Kansa was so oblivious that he was the center of everyone's attraction. That he still would go. Finally, we had to stop the kirtan and then Kansa realized, okay, the kirtan's finished now. Now I should really be dead, at least on the stage. So sometimes we get so over-involved, like Kansa here, become over-involved. Jayanta was over-involved. I mean, he was really trying to claw at Sita Devi and peck at her. He had to just kind of do it a couple of times and that would be enough. But no. However, he did seek shelter of Lord Ram. Lord Ram did forgive him. Then what was the idea behind Lord Ram asking him that, okay, which eye do you want to sacrifice? The left one or the right one? And it is explained that sometimes it is necessary that we live with a token punishment. Not sometimes, but generally it would be necessary that we receive some token punishment. And the Vaishnava Acharyas have described this phenomena as Nigraha Anugraha. Special compassion with some restrictions. It is like you are free from the prison on parole. We'll take reference of the Chaitanya Charitamrita also. Jagai and Madhai were relieved of all their past sinful reactions. We've heard this pastime before. How was it confirmed that they were now free from all their past sinful reactions? What was the confirmation? Anyone knows? Yes, Aryan? They start chanting and dancing. What does that mean? When we start chanting and dancing, does it mean that we have been sinful? And now we are relieved of that? Yes, they start chanting and dancing. Anything else? Yes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's golden form turned black, dark. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not undergoing skin transplantation. Well, not the way we understand it. But he was definitely manifesting sin transportation. The sins of Jagai and Madhai were transported into the transcendental form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And those sins were so huge. I was going to use the word magnanimous, but that's not a good word for sins. They were so immense that those sins affected the effulgence, the texture, the color of the Lord's form. And his form turned dark black. And all the devotees were amazed, because these devotees realized that Lord Chaitanya has accepted all the sinful reactions of Jagai and Madhai. And they had tears in their eyes, because the compassion of Lord Chaitanya was unparalleled. It was so unparalleled that after this, Lord Chaitanya had a visitor, Yamaraji. And Yamaraji said, "My dear Lord, we used to get special what does the government do? It allocates funds, right? We used to get special funds just to run the department that would keep records of Jagai and Madhai. And within a moment, you have created severe unemployment. Hundreds upon thousands of scribes were writing down the activities of sinful acts of Jagai and Madhai, and there were hundreds and thousands of other scribes who were going through all the books of justice to find out the appropriate reaction to each of those actions. And there were hundreds and thousands of a third group of scribes that would note down every single reaction, and then there were the record keepers too. And by relieving Jagai and Madhai of all their sinful reactions, there is a big agitation in Yamaloka going on right now. Like Yamaraj, step down. Or give us employment opportunities. Yamaraji said, if you go on performing acts like this, practically, I will be without a job. In fact, in Kali Yuga, I was simply surviving by the mercy of Jagai and Madhai. How is this even possible? Who can show such compassion? Yamaraji was so stunned by this act of compassion that he fell down unconscious. And to make Yamaraji unconscious, you really have to do something stunning. He has seen so much in his lifetime. He can never be rendered unconscious, practically. And when Yamaraji fell down unconscious, the entire universe went up, and there was a cry in the entire universe. What will happen now? The Justice Department has collapsed. And then Yamaraji said, all I can do right now is chant Hare Krishna. And he started chanting and dancing. Now that was a spectacle to watch. When Yamaraji does chanting and dancing, everyone is assured that no more death. Because Yamaraji is a person who determines what is going to happen after death, and if there is no longer any strategy, what is going to happen to each living entity after death, practically every living entity is immortal now. So everyone is so happy. So one way to become immortal is to make Yamaraji dance in Kirtan. Any takers? Anyone here wants to do that? So Yamaraji was moved by the compassion of Lord Chaitanya. And then Lord Chaitanya, he encouraged all the devotees to do Kirtan, and as they did Kirtan, the Lord's form, it regained, the Lord's form got back its golden hue, color and texture. Where did all the sins go? And the Lord said, into the hearts of those who commit offenses against my devotees. After a few days, there is just a lot of noise on the banks of the Ganga. Little children, adult men and women, they were throwing rocks at Madhai, wanting to hurt him. There was so much pain in their heart because they had suffered a lot during Jagai and Madhai's tenure. As unscrupulous people, they had suffered a lot. So all these people, as soon as they realized that Madhai, especially Madhai, will not retaliate back, They took that opportunity to vent their anger on Madhai. Now, if Madhai had taken shelter of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Chaitanya had completely forgiven him, maybe Lord Chaitanya forgot to WhatsApp everyone that this is done. Jagai and Madhai are normal now. They are regular people. Isn't it? Maybe the next time the Lord's incarnation takes place, we can ask him to come during the WhatsApp age. What do you think? If Jagai and Madhai had accepted the shelter of Lord Chaitanya, it would be so nice to think that everyone lived happily ever after. But Madhai was being hit by rocks and stones, and people were verbally abusing him. Why is that? Shouldn't they have arranged a platform for Madhai and put a statue on it and said, this is the great Madhai who has been saved, the one and only, saved by Lord Chaitanya? Rather than that, Madhai was being hit, beaten. And Madhai, in his innocence, he would pick up the very rocks that were hitting him. He would pick them up and he would try and go back to these people who were angry with him. And when they would see that Madhai has picked up the rocks, that made them feel a little scared and afraid. Oh, is he going to hit us back? But Madhai would come up to them and he would say, please take back these rocks and hit me again. I deserve much worse. And some of them, their hearts would melt, and others would still beat him up. So the explanation given is, it is necessary for us to remember what would happen if we make the wrong choices again. Because as fallen conditioned souls, having misused our independence once, even if we are reformed and we are still spending some time in this material creation, there is the possibility that we may fall prey to material desires again. And therefore, Nigraha Anugraha means special mercy on us by which we get some token reaction that is a reminder to us that we were wrong in our past life. We were sinful. And this token reaction reminds us of it. However, we just received a token reaction because Lord Chaitanya has forgiven us. And we feel grateful for that. Madhai felt so grateful despite being injured that one day he went up to Lord Nityananda and he said, I have practically no idea as to the volume of people whom I have offended. I have begged forgiveness from as many people as I've met, but I'm sure there must be thousands of others that I have not sought forgiveness from. Can you please teach me, show me how I can seek redemption? And Lord Nityananda told him, People from far and wide, they come to the banks of the Ganga to take a bath. So you make a nice facility here, build a ghat, build a bathing place for all these people. And when they come to take their bath, you seek forgiveness from them. Just like our temple here, since the time we have afforded the facility to the larger community, that please come, have wonderful darshan, participate in festivals, and you'll get hot prasad. Many people are coming to our temple because there is a facility. And when they come here, we can become friends with them. We can try to do that. Similarly, when Madhai, he built the bathing ghat, and people would come and use that facility, he would seek forgiveness from every single one of them. Some of us who have been to Mayapur, do we remember Madhai Ghat? There is a Madhai Ghat still. It's more in terms of an emotional presence. Like somebody would say, this is where is Madhai Ghat. Because over the years, much of it has disappeared. But Madhai Ghat is famous. So the Lord allows us to receive some token of punishment, which is very helpful for us to be focused, especially when we have committed a very severe act of defiance. Here the crow was involved in a severe offense, and Lord Ramachandra employed this principle as a reminder to the crow and to everyone else who hears this story that we better be careful. We may not want to accept practices that could hurt us spiritually and also physically. The blind eye of the crow was a reminder to the crow of always being very careful, or in today's world, today's times, the word is mindful. It was a reminder to the crow of always being mindful, thoughtful, and all the other fools. Hence, Sharanagati is perfect. And once one seeks shelter of the Supreme Lord, one receives the Lord's protection. One can feel the Lord's protection. The Lord's protection is always there, but one feels the Lord's protection. That is question number 3. The next question is, why did the demigods push Jayanta to do this? And we kind of answered that on the first day. 13 years and practically 13 years of exile had passed, and Ravana was still in Lanka, and Lord Ramachandra was still in Dandakaranya, and the demigods had incited this entire episode of the Lord's exile so that the Lord would move out of Ayodhya. But they had no idea that he would build another paradise in the form of Panchavati. So they also were happy when Shurapanakha was involved. But Even after that, they were leading a very happy life. So when 13 years had passed and before they had moved to Panchavati, the demigods made another attempt. They invoked Jayanta and they asked him to take on the form of a crow and hoped that this would make Lord Ram passionate about his promise that he would put down irreligion. However, after Jayanta was forgiven, Lord Ramachandra still did not do anything much. So finally Sita had to be kidnapped. And that was when the purpose for which the demigods wanted the Lord to incarnate was fulfilled. He went to Lanka and he destroyed Ravana. So Jayanta, who was the son of Indra and a very sensible person, he had come to trouble Mother Sita not out of malice, although still he should not have overdone it. But he had to perform that act so that the purpose for which the Lord had incarnated could be fulfilled. One of the purposes. Question number 5. How was the Brahmastra slower than the crow? I mean, this is the Brahmastra. Unchallenged Astra. And specially released by Lord Ramachandra. So, I mean, who has the ability to counteract it? There's none in the world that can counteract an arrow released by Lord Ramachandra, especially one of the most powerful ones, a weapon released by Lord Ramachandra. Why was the Brahmastra constantly just meandering and hovering behind the tail of the crow? Or is it possible that Jayanta really, he got wings literally? Sometimes when a person is really fast, we say that the person has gotten wings. Was he so fast? So one reason is given is that these weapons, especially the celestial weapons, they are not just inanimate weapons, but they are personalities themselves. They have consciousness. Oh, before I go into this explanation, it seems that someone was sitting with a console and controlling the activities of the Brahmastra, like a drone. Seems like that. Like just that distance behind or separating the crow and the Brahmastra. Technically perfect. So is the Brahmastra a drone? From the modern perspective, we can understand how the Brahmastras, we can try and understand that weapons like the Brahmastra can function. They're not just like ballistic missiles, but just as drones are perfectly controlled by an operator. Similarly, Brahmastras are controlled by people who have imparted their potency to the mantras that are controlling the astras. Like the Agneastra has the potency of Agni Dev. But it also means that Agni Dev is actively involved somewhere. He's sitting in his living room and he has this huge screen in front of him, and that is monitoring the Agnyastra. And Agnidev is like, all right, coordinates change by 2 degrees. So these astras, they have consciousness. Either personally they may have consciousness, they may be they may be living beings themselves, or they have an operator. There is an operator somewhere monitoring the activities of the astra. And according to the principles of warfare, a weapon, especially a celestial weapon, is never supposed to strike someone in their back. So whenever the crow would see the astra face to face, it would turn around to run away from the astra. And now the back of the crow was to the astra. So the astra was like, oh God, I cannot hit it. I cannot hit the crow. The astra was being a gentleman. So that is one of the reasons given. Another reason is the astra had been employed by the Lord for a particular purpose, and that was to impart lessons to the crow and to all future generations of believers and readers of the Ramayana. We had to learn our lesson. And if this episode had not unfolded as is revealed in the Ramayana, maybe the lesson would have been missed by many of us. And who understands this better than the astra itself? Hence, some Vaishnava acharyas commenting on this, they say that every time the crow would try and fly in a direction which is not favorable, the astra, Brahmastra, would become more menacing. And the crow would become fearful. Oh my God, now I'm going to be hit. And the crow would change course. And as long as the crow stayed on course, the astra would maintain its distance. Every time it would go off course, the GPS would go on. Rerouting, rerouting. So you come out of your slumber. Like, okay, I missed my exit. I took the wrong exit. So the astra would appear as a menace to the crow. Menacingly would be present for the crow, and the crow would immediately change its route. And thus, the Brahmastra was guiding the crow towards a particular destination. And the destination was the Lord's lotus feet. So it was a whole strategy that the astra had in mind, the Brahmastra. So sometimes challenges in life are like the Brahmastra. There's a strategy behind it. It is not meant to destroy us, but it is to help us focus on that which is really important, to come back to the proper route. Hence, the Brahmastra would never strike the crow, because the Brahmastra's intent was to make the crow surrender to Lord Ramachandra, as is any plan of the Supreme Lord. Every strategy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is such that we can surrender ourselves to Krishna, to Krishna's lotus feet. Thus, we have tried to answer all the questions that could arise out of this episode of Kakasura Vrittanta, of the punishment of the crow that has been described. Sita Devi, she narrated this pastime to Hanumanji which would serve as a proof, a pramana of his having really found out the whereabouts of Sita Devi. Sometimes in a pursuit of reaching the devotion of our heart, or finding the devotion of our heart, we may have to participate in or hear Jai Shri Shri Radha Neela Madhav Bhagwan Ki Jai. We may have to participate or hear unsavory news. Like Hanumanji had to hear about Mother Sita being injured. But ultimately, everything is well by the mere glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After that, the army comes in, there's a huge fight. At one point of time, Ravana is really feeling the energy, the power of Lord Ram's army. He knows that he's going to be defeated. So one night after the day's battle, he decides to visit Sutala Loka. He has a plan. He goes to Bali Maharaj and he says, Bali Maharaj, we are friends. Practically, our two dynasties, we have the same source. We are connected. And I need your help. There is an army of monkey and bears led by a forest dweller. A loser is leading that army. And somehow we made mistakes, and now we are in a very challenging situation. I seek your help. Please come and fight alongside me. Fight with Lord Ram. He did not say Lord Ram. Fight with this Ram. And Bali Maharaj said, can I offer you a piece of advice? And Ravana said, yes, anything. He said, just surrender to Lord Ram. Since the time you stole Sita, the internet is buzzing with that news. And I have also received that news. And I was wanting to get in touch with you, and I was wanting to convince you that return Sita back to Ram. Let them be happy together, receive their blessings, and you can live a happy life too. And Ravana says, what? That ordinary man, you want me to surrender to him? Come on, give up jokes. And Bali Maharaj said, all right, let's go for a walk. So he takes him for a walk. And Ravana is kind of figuring out how he can convince Bali Maharaj. Suddenly they find themselves facing a huge wall. And this wall has diamonds in it. A wall of diamonds. And Ravana is impressed. He said, wow, you have a wall of diamonds? I just have gold. You have diamonds? And Bali Maharaj said, well, it's not my wall. What is it? He says, send a drone up so that you get aerial view. So Ravana sends his drone up, and he has the aerial view of the entire landscape. And he sees this peculiar mountain. It's a huge mountain range. It's circular. It's a circular mountain with a big crater in the middle. Like a huge crater and just a rim around it. And he sees that this entire mountain has diamonds, sparkling diamonds. He says, oh, this is not a wall. This is an entire mountain of diamonds with a lake in it. And Bali Maharaj said, do you know what this mountain is? He said, no. He said, this is a earring. He said, what? Earring? Yes. This belongs to Hiranyakashipu. This is just his earring. When Hiranyakashipu was fighting with Lord Narsinghadev, Shri Narsinghadev Bhagwan ki jai. So I'm just trying to fulfill what I spoke. There has to be a connection to Narsinghadev. Fulfill my promise. Keep true to my words. This earring belongs to Hiranyakashipu during the fight with Lord Narsinghadev. His earring fell away from his ear and fell down here in Sutala Loka and has been here since then. Ravana, why don't you pick up this earring and take it with you? He said, not possible. This is so huge. So Bali Maharaj said, in your previous life you were Hiranyakashipu. And Lord Ram is the same Lord Narsinghadev. When you were more powerful, and this being your earring, you were easily defeated and killed by Lord Krishna, Lord Hari. Now when your strength is 1,000,000 times less, do you think you have any hope of even standing in front of him with malice, anger and enmity? You do not even have the strength to pick up the earring of your previous life. And in that lifetime, you were killed by Lord Narsinghadev. Better take my advice. Just return back Sita to Lord Ram. And Ravana thought that Bali Maharaj is making excuses. I'm Hiranyakashipu. And he got killed. That must be, Bali Maharaj is getting a little senile, mad in his old age. He's making up all these crazy stories. Ravana would not listen because he was so caught up in his own ambitions and desires. He couldn't just understand. He thought it was all fake. He thought it was just a story made up. He was not ready to accept the reality. And he lost again. So we have this wonderful opportunity to have realizations from the descriptions in the scriptures. And the scriptures, they proclaim or they declare a simple message. We will be eternally happy serving Krishna. And we can serve Krishna in 9 ways. The 9 processes of devotional service. Just let's practice one simple process. And our lives will be successful. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Any comments? Yes, Aryan. Hare Krishna.
So, you said that when an astra is released, then it cannot
because there was no Aryan to advise them, and they would never come to Bhagavatam classes. Yeah, Duryodhana and company, they did not like to attend Srimad Bhagavatam class. So they never had the opportunity to know this, right? Generally, warriors, those who are real warriors at heart, they know that life is temporary anyways. And they know that they have taken a stand here. So rather than run away and be laughed at and ridiculed as being fake warriors, they happily would embrace death and glory. Okay? You're welcome. Sidhu, after he
You
asks.
said we get a token punishment so we remember the mistakes we've made in the past, but I guess when you're born, you don't really remember anything from your past lives. And I can see it's useful too, because remembering every sin from the past life will just make it impossible to live. But is there any other explanation for why we don't remember? Because if we did, maybe we would be less likely to repeat those mistakes. Like if I touch fire and I'm burnt immediately because the reaction is right away, I remember not to touch it again. But the problem with several of our mistakes is that the repercussion comes in a disjoint context later, and we can't connect that repercussion to the mistake, right? I wish it was simpler.
Me too. All of us, we really wish it could have been a little more simple. It's not just about the reactions that are painful, but it is also a way to avoid being confused of our personalities, of our existence in that particular life. For example, if we could remember from a past that we were very happy as pigs eating stool, that would kind of make us uneasy right now sitting at the dinner table. References like that. Someone could suggest that, well, it could be very selective. Just remember all, we should kind of remember all the mistakes that we made rather than remember other things. But generally, when there is an overdose of any information, the hard drive crashes. So it would be difficult. We as individual beings, we are not programmed. It is not decided how we are going to react to a situation. A reaction to a particular situation depends on our consciousness at that point of time. So if someone who is a good person realizes that has so many memories of past sinful activities, that could make that person think that, hey, there's no hope for me. So why do I suffer so much trying to be good? Let me just be bad. There's a possibility like that too. So to help us start new, the arrangement of material nature is that we only remember as much as is required. That helps us go through this lifetime. Because if there is too much baggage, then we may not be able to move forward in this life. And moving forward is very important. It's not as important to know what we have done as is what we can do right now to change our situation. Yes? So past life forgetfulness is helpful so that we can move forward such that we can once and for all just free ourselves, become free from this bondage of life and death, from this cycle of actions and reactions. Is that okay? All right. Siddhu, you had a question, beta?
Actually, a comment.
A comment. Well, great. Yes.
Your lecture was good.
Whoa. That was unexpected. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Siddhu. That means a lot. Yes, Advaita.
Your series of lectures was awesome.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Well, you can log on to my virtual page, which does not exist, and post your comments, lights. Any final questions or comments? So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. It has indeed been a privilege to be here and serve you in this capacity. And we seek everyone's blessings to serve our mission, the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Haribol. Let's chant 3 times Haribol for thanking His Grace Rohini Priya Prabhu for this wonderful series on Ramayana. Haribol! 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 So on the request of devotees, Prabhuji has also agreed to give a class on Monday evening for kids, all girls and boys included, Bhimsen and Blossom. The class will be in the temple. The timing is around 7-ish on WhatsApp, and we'll announce the exact time. Thank you. Around 7:30. Haribol.